Hello class, and welcome back. Last period we discussed about the site of photosynthesis, chloroplast that is, and today we are going to discuss about the materials or raw materials for photosynthesis. So what are the materials required for the photosynthesis? So we are going to discuss mainly about the water and carbon dioxide. Okay. The manufacture of food carbohydrates by plants in the process of photosynthesis needs two raw materials, that is number one carbon dioxide, number two water. So now we will describe how these two raw materials become available to plants for photosynthesis. Number one, carbon dioxide. There are large number of tiny pores called stomata, singular we call it stoma, present on the inside surface of leaves. Massive amount of gaseous exchange takes place in the leaves through these pores. So in the leaves there are millions or thousands, we can say, okay, thousands of pores, small pores, small holes that we call it as stomata, and one single stomata is called stoma. Understood? Stomata and stoma. So this stomata helps in the exchange of gases from inside to the outside, from the outside to the inside, right? So release of carbon dioxide or release of oxygen takes place, and inhale of carbon dioxide takes place through these small pores called stomata. So actually green plants take in CO2 or carbon dioxide from air through the stomata for the purpose of photosynthesis. A stomata consists of pair of guard cells surrounding an opening called stomatal pore. The opening and closing of the stomatal pore is controlled by the guard cells. So you see that in the figure of stomata, okay, you find small round shape, okay, little bit crooked shape like this, that is called guard cell. So these guard cells helps in closing as well as opening of the stomata, and through this guard cell passage of gases occurs. When water flows into guard cells, they swell, causing the stomatal pore to open. Similarly, when the guard cell loses water, they shrink and stomatal pores close. So how does guard cell is responsible, or how does guard cell open and closes? How? So here is the basic thing, that water is the main function or main purpose of opening and closing of guard cell. So when there is excess of water, okay, too much of water coming in the stomata, this stomata swells, means it becomes large, and when they become large it will swell up. But when the water goes out, it will shrink, okay, it will shrink. You see, you take a balloon, when you put water, what happens? The balloon will become big, and when you throw the water, what happens? Your balloon will become in original size, means small, okay, like this. So that is the basic for example you can take while opening and closing of the guard cell. Large amount of water is also lost through these stomatal pores. So when a plant does not need carbon dioxide, the stomatal pores are closed in order to prevent excessive loss of water. During the process of photosynthesis, O2 gas is released. So when the water, right, when the guard cell does not, when the stomata or when the plant does not require carbon dioxide, the guard cell will close. Why? Because continuous release of water occurs. Okay, so that because of that the waters does not go out, they will close the guard cell, and during the photosynthesis O2 is released. So this O2 also goes through stomatal pores of leaves. Please note that the exchange of gases also occurs on the surface of stems, leaves and roots. So this oxygen also goes out from the stomatal pores or stomata, and coming in also carbon dioxide coming in also because of the stomata. And they have given a reminder that the exchange of gases not only occurs in the leaves or not only occurs from the stomatal pore, it occurs from the leaves, stems, roots. Okay, roots, stems and leaves. So these three are the main thing where the exchange of gases occurs, not only in the leaves. Now we see the water. Water is another important requirement for photosynthesis, which is absorbed through roots of plant by the process of osmosis. You know, water exchange of water occurs through xylem, and that xylem is inside the osmosis. Okay, osmosis exchange the water from the outside to the inside, from the inside to the outside. And xylem, what they do, they transport the water from the plant itself. When osmosis takes water from the outside, the xylem will transport that water to all over the plants. The absorbed water is transported upward through xylem vessel to the leaves, where it reaches the chloroplast containing cells and is utilized in photosynthesis. Now you see the xylem. When the root absorb the water, they will go up. Okay, they will go up from the xylem vessels to the leaves, that is chloroplast. From chloroplast, what occurs? Photosynthesis. Along with the raw materials for synthesis of carbohydrate food, plants also require other raw materials like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium, etc. for building their body. So now see, besides carbon dioxide and water, plant also need phosphorus, carbon dioxide, or phosphorus, nitrogen, okay, calcium and other raw materials like magnesium, iron, etc. to build their body, means to grow their body. What do we need? We don't only need water and air, right? Oxygen. We need food also. Inside the food you will find phosphorus, you will find calcium, find iron. Okay, so likewise plant also need these other raw materials to support their body. These materials are taken by plants from the soil, and these materials not only does not come from air and all, it comes from the soil of the land. For example, nitrogen is essential element used in the synthesis of proteins and other compounds. So nitrogen Example is nitrogen, which is essential for making the proteins and other compounds. Plants take up nitrogen from the soil in the form of inorganic salts called nitrates from nutrients, or in the form of organic compounds which are prepared by bacteria from the atmospheric nitrogen. So you have heard, you will find in the other part of the book or other chapters nitrogen fixation. Okay, when we go on, we'll find the nitrogen fixation. So this nitrogen fixation, they break down the nitrogen N2 breaks down into N, K, N plus N. So this nitrogen is essential for building up the proteins and other materials, and plants require mostly nitrogen to build up their body from the soil. Nitrogen is essential. So this nitrogen, how does they break? They break from the bacteria as well as from the natural disasters, okay, like lightning, or either it may be rain, etc. So that's all about the raw materials for photosynthesis. Now next class we'll discuss, next period we'll discuss requirement for plants. That's all.